Hey everybody, Glenn from Third Millennium. What we're going to do today is we're going to take a look at installing our M170F speakers into the headrests for the Miata, and not just any of the Miatas. These would be the special Miatas that came with a special upgraded audio package. That is traditionally, if you have a Miata that's identified as an M edition, special edition, or limited edition, and this is for the years 1990 to 1997, where you had the headrest speaker option. The regular headrest speakers for all of the other years, and again, when I say limited production runs and specials, only a couple thousand cars. Of the hundreds of thousands of other Miatas that were produced, they use the rectangular speakers that are in the headrests. We do sell those. Those are called our Millennium 5 speakers. And if you had one of the Miatas, they had a base model that came with no headrest speakers at all, or if some previous owner has taken yours out, you could use our retrofit kit. I'm going to leave a link for that here in the corner of the screen, this corner of the screen, and give you information about that. So we can take a car, even if it's been ripped completely apart, previous owners have done all kinds of things, we can help you get that back to the way it's supposed to be and get some nice sounding audio. But if you have one of these cars, and it obviously seats out of the car here, this was out of a 95 Miata. If you have one of these, then Mazda got together with Pioneer, did some things that were special in the cars. How can you identify if you have one of these? Well, first of all, if you open up the headrest and you see there's a plastic seat insert that goes up in this top portion here that just helps hold the shape of the seat. You're going to have two types of inserts. You'll have one that might look like this, or one that look like this, although this has had the foam taken off. It had the same foam on it that this one did originally. What's different is on these special and limited edition cars, the back of this, and I'll get this up close so you can get a picture of it there, you'll see that it's actually got mounting arrangements here for some fasteners that held these speakers in place, and the speakers actually looked like this. And Pioneer, they just go on like this, and they're held into place like that. Pioneer was approached by Mazda to try to provide an upgraded audio system. The original was pretty terrible in terms of the audio quality. So Pioneer did a couple of things. They upgraded with a different layout the headrest speakers. They changed the foam that's in the seats to accommodate these. And then they also changed the door speakers. They put in a separate woofer and then a tweeter up along the top edge of the door card. So if you see the tweeter up there in the 90 to 97, that means you probably have this arrangement. And there's also bass shakers built into the back of the seat thumpers. What we're going to do is going to show you on our new M170F speakers. This is an example of one of these speakers, and very large ferrite magnets on these. That's what the F designation is for, is ferrite. With that said, let's go ahead and jump right into it in terms of what you're going to need for this job. Now, this seat is out, obviously, of the car. You do not need to take the seats out of the car to do this. If you're just replacing the headrest speakers, as opposed to if your car has no headrest speakers, no wiring, then we do suggest pulling the seat out and putting it somewhere where you can work on it. It's just a lot easier to do that. But for this job, really pretty simple. A couple of tools, needle nose pliers, number 2 Phillips head screwdriver. Should be really all that you need. You might need a little bit of WD-40. If you don't know, there's a zipper that's across the top of the seat here, so you get access to where the speakers are. You do need to unzip that. If you find that your zipper is not cooperating, not moving very well, just get a little WD-40, put just a single drop right onto the zipper where the 2 strands go into the zipper mechanism. That almost always is all it takes to free it up so that you can get it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get the camera zoomed in so that you can see what we're actually doing up here. Okay, and here we go. So there's a flap, and if you have the leather seats or cloth seat, the way to get into the headrest is the same for all of the years. There's just a flap of the fabric which is folded. It's not really folded, it just extends over where the zipper is. Tab is going to be over on this side, and what you want to do is with your needle nose pliers, grab the tab, lift it just slightly because there's kind of a lock on it. And once you have it lifted, just work it across like this until it is down, and then the cover simply folds down. And it's attached at the bottom by stitching, so your cover, whether it's leather or whether it is cloth, is not going to be removable. So just pull that down. What you'll find is if this hasn't been touched previously and it's still in original condition, there's these plastic tabs that are over 4 locations, down at 2 at the bottom and 2 at the top. There's just a screw that's in there, a Phillips headed screw, and you just need to get your screwdriver in place and take those 4 out. Alright, once you have the 4 screws out, just grab this and pull it forward and then lift it up a little bit just to clear these lower corners, like that, and then tip it down, and then this is what you're going to have. Alright, what you see are the wires for the 2 channels coming up. You notice that the speaker terminals are towards the top, and these are just push-ons. And all you need to keep track of is I've got a green and a gray here. In the orientation that I'm working, the green is on the right, so just keep track of that. Pull these off, and then take that out, and here's what you got. I'll hold this up for you so you can get a good picture of it. Alright, here we go. I got a 9/32 nut driver here. You could use a standard old pair of pliers would work, or you could use a little adjustable wrench. That would also work as well. These, when you find them, they typically have a little coating of glue or lacquer that's been put over them just to keep the screws from loosening. Just take the nuts off. And then the speakers just lift up and out. If there is some dust in here from some old insulation debris, you might want to vacuum that out before we get going. Okay, M170. What's actually different? Let's just take a second to show you the difference in these two. M170s, this is a poly cone, this is just paper. The surround here is cloth, this is butyl rubber. And magnet structure, these are both ferrite magnets. Obviously the M170F is a much larger one. They're both 8 ohm speakers. And because of the cone material, the mass of the cone, and some other construction things, this is quite a bit more efficient, which means it's better at turning audio power from your radio or amplifier into sound. Installation, real simple. You want the terminals up. Oh, and I should mention on the terminals, there's a small terminal and a larger terminal. This is what's called a 110. This is called a 205. They are the exact same as on the original speakers. And the reason that that's important is that you can't actually put these in wrong. They will pick up the existing wiring exactly the same as the old speakers. So simply set these into place, and then go ahead, put your nuts back on with your nut driver. There's no need to get crazy about tightening these down. You want them to be snug so that the speaker isn't moving. Don't tighten it so much that you're bending the frame of the speaker or doing something else. Alright, and that's all we got to do for this part. And it's now time to go ahead and put this back into the seat. All right, so we're ready to put this back together. Before I do that, I will point out to you, I mentioned that the foam was a little bit different. And what was changed, they added foam, Pioneer Mazda added foam in the center so that when the speakers are mounted, acoustically this speaker is isolated from this speaker. That's really important when you have speakers that have low frequency energy, because if there is a clear path from the one speaker to the other speaker, you have actually what's called phase problems, where you have the sound from one canceling out sound from the other at some frequencies and reinforcing it and making it extra loud at other frequencies. So it really just can make it sound weird. So to do this properly, you'd have to, and this is why you really don't you don't want to try to mount these into the standard seats, because the standard seats do not have this arrangement in them. They relied upon those plastic boxes to isolate the speakers. So anyway, there's your trivia. Put this back in place. We're just going to reattach our wires. And you can bring them up. I usually like to bring them up in the center here and reattach them. Then take your lower corners, tuck those in, and then wiggle this whole thing down a little bit so that it's pushed down into the seat and then lines up. And now if you look in here, you can actually see your screw holes, and you can get lined up for putting your screws back into place on the seats. All right, once you have those in place, you can take off any of the stuff that's loose and just get rid of it. Put the cover back up into place, making sure that the zipper stays on top, doesn't roll over. And back with your needle nose, grab your zipper over here and go back across the top. Zipper folds up and into place, and you're all set. All right, and that's it. Hope this helped you guys out. The M170Fs are a nice solution to getting some really good sound into the first generation Miatas, the special edition, limited edition, M editions. Last thing I'll leave you with is for setup for these. People always ask, how do I balance out the sound system in the Miata to get the best possible sound? What we suggest you do is you sit in the car with the engine off, top up or down, it doesn't make any difference. Take your radio. The headrest speakers should be set up to be fading to the rear in the car. So set and fade all the way to the door speakers, which should be your fronts on the radio controls. Get the left and right balance, bass, treble, and everything the way you like, using a really good audio MP3 or a CD. Don't use an FM station. You want really good audio for this. Pick something that you're really familiar with, that's really well recorded, that you could literally say is, one of your favorites that you know really well. So get it all set up using just the door speakers. Then take your fader, try not to move in the seat, take your fader, slowly start fading to the headrest speakers until they are just a little bit louder than the door speakers. So then stop, fade back so that now the door speakers are louder than the headrest speakers. And that's the optimum point for creating a nice stereo image that is in front of you where it should be. You don't go to a concert and face backwards to where the performers are. You want it in front of you. The headrest speakers are supposed to be helping out with wind noise and road noise, which in a Miata, particularly those first generation Miatas, is horrid. There's no sound insulation in the cars at all. So anyway, hope this helped you guys out. If it did, please give us a like, leave any comments below. We always enjoy those, and we do respond to all of our comments. Make sure you're a subscriber if you're not already. We're trying to put out a lot of good Miata audio stuff, and we've got installation videos for almost all of our products, including the air horns, as well as some theory, and we're doing a nice series now on question and answer, and you can get a lot of your Miata audio questions there, help you guys enjoy your cars even more. So thank you again, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.